Good. Okay. Okay, everybody. Welcome to the Master Plan Implementation Committee meeting. It is June 18th. We're off our normal date for meeting because we wanted to get a little head start on our survey and be sure that we were on track with what we're doing. So once again, we have a remote Zoom meeting given all the orders and our current situation with the COVID and not being able to meet in person at Town Hall. So that is continuing again for yet another week. And tonight we have almost everybody. Brittany will be joining us shortly. And we have the full committee, George and Mike. So with that, we'll call it to order at about 7:10 more or less. And I don't think, Cindy, do you see anybody else waiting out in the waiting room? I don't think so. In case we had any public comment, public participants. See anybody, Cindy?
I see nobody else. No.
Okay, we're going to assume that we don't have any public comment. Then let's jump to the meeting minutes from last time, and if you can possibly share those, Cindy.
Well, the bad news is that I had all those up and they all disappeared.
No, that's okay.
Let me try to see if I can find them in my desktop. I put them all on the screen. Son of a gun. New share. They're not there anymore, Chris. Can you believe that? I'm going to files.
Did you minimize them? Are they at the bottom of your screen in Word or something?
Yeah, okay, that's where I'll go. Let's see if I can do this. Weird, I pulled them all up and they all disappeared. I guess when you leave, they go away.
Let's see. Word just popped up, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, we're getting there. We're coming to something.
Wait a minute, I can't hear you, Chris, you're breaking up.
Yeah, just scroll down, Cindy. If you can scroll down. Minutes.
Here we go.
Yep.
Okay, those are the minutes. Can y'all see them?
Yep, we got it. Okay, visible. Okay, good. So our last meeting was June 8th.
Chris,
And that's where we spent.
Everybody else suffering that same sound issue?
No, it's just you for me.
Same
Well, we're in
here.
the same house. I hope that's not a problem. So I'll be quiet. Chris, you talk.
All right. Well, why don't we just kind of scroll down through the minutes and take a quick glance as we go, and then we can have a vote on approving the minutes. If anybody has any comments, can you scroll down, Cindy, on those? Or can everybody see the minutes okay?
Could you just change my last name to O-N rather than E-N?
Got that, Cindy? There we go.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yep. Okay, and just scroll down, Cindy, if you can. Perfect. Okay, so basically, if people had a chance to look at it, this was the meat of our meeting right there in the old business. Maybe just scroll up just a tad, Cindy.
I can't hear you, Chris.
Just scroll up just a little bit. So you see the first paragraph under old business, right there. Okay, right there.
Somebody else repeat what she's saying because I cannot hear her.
Yep, that's good.
I wanted to scroll up.
That's good. That's good. That's the minutes of the basically the meeting. Anybody have any comments on the minutes? Oops.
Okay, we're back.
Okay. Any comments or additions or questions on the minutes? If not, could I have a motion to approve them?
I'll move to approve the minutes of the June 8th meeting.
Okay. Can I have a second?
Okay, so I muted myself and then I can hear her, so I'm not gonna be able to talk.
Okay. All right. Can I have a second on the minutes?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's do it. Roll
Fishman,
call. Roll call.
Fishman,
Judy.
aye.
Yep.
Larson abstain.
Okay.
Oh,
And
Cindy said yes, she has thumbs up.
okay. And Fowles aye. Okay. All right. All approved and one abstention. All right. That's good. Okay. With that, Cindy, if you could put up the poster. What I'm going to do, guys, I think the order, we want to spend enough time on the survey, but I wanted to take a look at just two things. One is the poster that we've been working on Cindy and Faith Harrelson volunteered to help us with a poster. And then we'll pull up the task list briefly and get an update from people that had tried to do some of the various tasks that we had assigned, and just get a kind of an idea where things are there. So can you find the poster, Cindy? If you go back to your desktop. No. I can't see Cindy. Is she there?
Yeah, she's there.
Okay. All right, we're getting there. Looking hopeful.
Poster, I see it.
Yay.
Okay, good. Now, the challenge will be to make that so we can see the entire thing. I don't know. Oops.
Cindy, yeah. I don't know where Cindy went.
There
Here
she
we
is.
go.
Okay, so scroll down a bit, Cindy, I guess. Okay. So it starts out with Southampton residents, and then let your voice be heard. There we go. And there's basically 3 or 4 photos on the left-hand side. And then this little bit of narrative here. So we tried to put in just some very short verbiage without having it too complicated, knowing that people really don't stand there and read everything anyway. But this would hopefully catch somebody's eye. So this is what it is, and we're calling this a community engagement survey. And then people can complete it online. We'll be putting the link, once Ken gives us the link, we'll put it up onto the town website. And then we'll also have hard copies. We've got to figure that out at the town hall, how we're going to do that, also at the library. And then Cindy has a list of local businesses that we were hoping that we could leave some hard copies at and ask them to hand them out as people come in, or have them available for people to take. So what does anybody think of the survey? Any thoughts there?
Well, my suggestion would be
Not the
that
survey,
wherever,
the poster I meant, sorry.
yeah, my suggestion would be that wherever we plan to have hard copies of the survey available, we have this poster there, like, with an arrow at the bottom to show where they can get them.
Sure.
I'll be.
Good idea. So kind of like a little bit of a sign of itself, and then to pick
Right.
up the poster,
Right.
the thing below,
Right.
the survey below.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I'm not real confident the town hall's going to be open.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So where do they return it?
Well, that's what we're going to be
We're trying to
working on
work it out.
right now. The hard copy, we want to set up some sort of a lockbox, a drop box at town hall is what we're hoping to do, but we've got to devise one. We can't probably put it in the tax collector box. And so we've been talking about how to make one out of either get a metal container of some sort to chain it to like the railing or something at town hall, or a plastic bin or something that we can secure, keep waterproof, and then, pick it up every day, go take out whatever's in there every day kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we got to still design that, but it would be town hall basically for the hard copy, or they could mail it if they wanted to mail it.
It looks good. I want to smooch that calf.
Could you scroll up just a little bit, please, so that we can see the invitation, Southampton Res. It seems to me as though grammatically you're inviting Southampton residents, and that then it should be voices be heard.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
you're addressing plural, residents
Yep.
plural.
Okay. Sounds good. Possibility, not a problem. We haven't printed it yet, so. Good. So what we were doing, we were thinking of printing maybe 20, Cindy, I think we were talking about, something like that, so that we'd have them at strategic places from, you know, the bank to Pure Food to the credit union, maybe to the hair salon to, you know, whatever. Cindy has a list of places that we would actually put it. Okay. All right. Any other thoughts on the poster? Cindy, I'll shut up if you want to chime in and talk about it.
You'll have to mute Chris in order for us to do this. But don't worry. Can you hear me, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So I really don't have anything else to say. It's had 10 or so additions already, but I appreciate what Christina just offered as grammatically correct for voices be heard. So that's it. It'll be printed in color, kind of on a shiny paper. I don't know if Chris mentioned that this was created by Faith Harrison, who does these posters for all the events that happen at the library. She's, you know, really kind of good at this. So she's volunteered her time for that. So I guess that's it. It'll probably be what size-wise, trying to think, maybe 18 inches by 12 approximately, might be a little larger than that. So I guess can this be, can we get a receipt for the printing and can that go in for reimbursement?
Or you can give me the invoice and I can have it, or I can print it.
Can you print it? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I have the ability to print 18 by 20, 12 by 18.
Okay,
So,
There.
okay, that'd be great. Let's work with you on that.
yeah, and I can print that in color. I think one comment that I wanted to make was as I mentioned maybe a couple meetings ago, there's what we call a QR code, which is a little square that has, you know,
Yes.
some sort of code. If
Yep.
you take a picture of it, your app or your smartphone will direct you to the website where the survey would be located. So once we finalize the survey and the link is live, I'll create a QR code and send that over.
Yep.
Or I can put it on,
Yep.
you know, from.
Well, yeah,
whatever.
Cindy, scroll down just a bit. Do we have room to put the QR code at the bottom of this poster?
I think you have room up at the top that you could, you know, lift that up a little bit and it would be fine.
So I think we could reorder things somehow to make it work. Let's give that answer.
Let's say that we want the QR code on the poster. Yes. Yeah. Everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so between Faith and Chris and I will figure out the location. Is that all right with everybody?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so when will you have that QR code available to us, Ken?
When we finalize the survey, once that link is, you know, once I don't have any more revisions to the survey that we're going to have. So, you know, I think as soon as the committee says the survey looks good, I can create a QR code and give that to you tomorrow.
Okay, so will you email it to us?
Yeah. It's gonna be just like a image file.
All right, so I'm going to give you Faith Harrison's email by text, and so that you can do it directly to Faith rather than connect with, you know, going through me or something. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Great. I will let Faith know that that's coming. Okay, great.
Great.
And by the way, Brittany should be here. Are you there, Brittany?
I am.
Oh, good. Okay, great.
Hi, Brittany.
Great.
Hi, how is everyone?
Good.
Good.
Glad you made it. Good. All right, good. So Cindy, that's great. Thank you. If you could swap then to the task list.
I'll be right back. My mother-in-law is leaving, so I just want to say
Yep.
goodbye.
Yep. Okay. Very good, very good. All right, so this is kind of where we were at the last meeting. And I just wanted to go through and just do a little update. Remember, we had talked about hopefully launching this on the 26th, which is next Friday. So as we go down through this, Ken is obviously, we just talked about that in terms of the survey and the QR code. Maybe Cindy first, do you have anything with the Mothers Club and the marquee?
Yes. Somewhere on my desk, I've got notes, but I can't put my finger on them. We have got the Mothers Club pretty much the entire summer, except for, and when we say Mothers Club, it's the marquee at the corner where the trading post is, across from what will now be the new church, you know where that marquee is. I don't have the exact dates right in front of me, I'm sorry, but there are 2 weeks in the summer that somebody else wants it. But otherwise, we have it for the entire summer. It was recommended that we don't put the same message up all the time, that we kind of like redo the wording and something catchy. So I will be working on options and maybe asking some of the rest of you to contribute ideas. But it's meant to, you know, make people read it and remind them to do the survey. So that's good news for the marquee. For that.
So would you have the marquee up for like a week or 10 days at a time and then change the wording? Is that what you're thinking?
That would be the idea, yeah.
Okay, all right, good. So with that, and then I kind of assigned Christina the idea of doing the same thing with the Lions Club marquee. And Christina, I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Bob Kozub at all?
Well, no, I was waiting for some details from you because I didn't know what the dates
Yep.
were. Not having
Yep.
been at the last meeting, I had asked you to send me the dates and details on what a text might be. So I haven't. I'm happy to as soon as I know what I'm requesting.
Yep. Okay, well, I think what I would do, I think probably the first thing would be just to talk to him and see, like with the Mothers Club, you know, is there anything, you know, anybody else using it? And if there are weeks that are taken that we cannot use it, but otherwise, you know, how much time could we have it available to us? And then I think it would probably be good for you and Cindy to work out wording, so it's kind of similar.
That is fine. Let me have some idea of time frame, and the starting date is the 26th.
Yeah, we want to launch it on the 26th, so.
All right, and you'd like it throughout the summer?
I think at least, yeah, as much as we can. If we're going to call it in by the end of August. So, and again, it may not be every week. That may be too much. So it might be every couple weeks we post something new for like a week or 10 days, you know, kind of thing.
Okay, so through July.
Through July and pretty much through August if we can.
Oh, all right, through August. Okay, that's fine. I will, I'll email him tonight.
That'd be great. And, you know, other organizations may have, you know, taken it a little bit from time to time too. So we'll work around that, but as much time as we could possibly have, that would be great. But then I think I'll leave it to you and Cindy to kind of work out wording. How's that?
That's fine.
All righty, good. Posting on the town website, I said I would do something with Ed on that, so I will still work on that. Brittany, Facebook Facebook Southampton community page and Instagram.
Yeah.
Want to just chat a little bit about that?
Sure. Chris and I had actually talked yesterday about maybe doing some lead-in posts in the days before the launch of the survey, just to get people's attention. So that's kind of what I'm going to look into doing this weekend, is maybe find some fun facts, maybe something historical, just to kind of get people's attention. So hopefully they keep checking in to see what's coming up.
Yeah. So kind of putting out like a little tidbit every day or something, not lots of information, but just, you know, just trying to kind of pique people's interest toward that.
Well, at that point, can I make a suggestion? Can you and your colleague, Eric, did the first draft of the first 3 chapters of the Open Space and Recreation Plan, and I found it immensely interesting. Maybe it was first 4 chapters of all the fun facts
Okay.
about the history of our town. Is it okay with you if I share that with Brittany, so she's got all those tremendously good pieces of history that you worked on?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Great.
All right, great.
Good.
I'll forward that to you by email, Brittany.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Good. That sounds like a good idea. Thank you. That's a great idea. All right. All right. And then this is now not printing the poster, but printing the hard copies of the survey. And we had talked about 150 to start with and see how much we really need it, because we really don't have a clue. We're assuming more people will be online than on hard copy, but we really don't know that. So Ken, you're still okay with printing the hard copies?
Yeah.
All right. And the way it's worked out, guys, is it's going to be basically 2 pages back to back. So on the hard copy, it looks pretty okay. 2 pages, about 20 questions altogether. All right. And we can put that up later on if anybody wants to see the hard copy. Or actually, I'll just send it out to you guys after the meeting. It's probably easier. All right. Newsletter deadlines. Francine.
Yeah, the COA announcement went in, and the newsletter should be out and distributed next week.
Great. Okay. And we'll just say it's the same, basically the same blurb that is in the tax bill is what we've
Right.
used for these newsletters. I've taken care of the church, so they've said that they will include it. So that should be coming out within the next week or so as well. I'm not sure when maybe the first of the month. I'm not exactly sure when the church bulletin comes out, but it'll be there. Cindy, library? Or Norris first? Maybe Norris first. How's that?
So Norris, we got right in under the deadline on that like a miracle. And that is in their newsletter now that I think probably just came out. I think it's an online newsletter. I will try to remember to ask my daughter-in-law to look it up, because she's, of course, connected with that, with the kids being in school.
Okay.
So I don't know what it says, but I do know it went in. I do know what it says because I gave them the blurb, which is essentially the same blurb that Francine created for the tax bill insert. And the library also has agreed for their newsletter. They will be looking for the for the piece to go to them within the next week or so. The publication will be the 1st of July or first week of July.
All right. That's great. All right. And for Hampshire Regional, I'd actually asked Margaret about that. And Margaret, you want to just chime in?
Oh, because it's so town specific and not school related, it didn't fit with what they're doing.
Yeah. Okay. Understandable. That's just fine. So we've got 4. That's pretty good. I think that's good. All right. Then obviously
would it be
announcing.
possible, excuse me, would it be possible to get the text of Francine's blurb? Did you
Yes.
send that
Sure.
out?
I can email it to you.
Thank you, Francine.
Yep. Yeah, actually, Cindy, that's a thought. We should actually have a couple of these things as attachments to the minutes if we don't, from last meeting. Just as a thought. Okay, so announcing it whenever, if there are meetings of the various committees you're on, just to be announcing that as we go. Then down to the.
Yeah, and I saw he had me listed for Hampshire Regional. That would really be more Margaret, if it's appropriate there, Margaret.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know.
yeah, no, I changed it, and she actually did, and she answered that it's not, they will not do it, so yeah.
No, I mean at the
No,
meeting.
Right, that was,
Oh.
I said no about the newsletter, but I can certainly announce it at the meeting.
Okay,
That's different.
perfect.
They'd be
Oh,
fine.
got it. Yep, perfect. All right, then down to the town moderator. We haven't done anything there yet. Robert seems to be posting every couple of days these days, I think. And I don't know what anybody else thinks. I think we've got the same language. We can put it up in a minute just so we can see it. I don't want to, let's see. Well, what I was going to suggest is that because we've got the same language in the tax bill and in the newsletters, that we do something a little bit different, a little bit of a variation for Robert's newsletter. So it's, conveying the information, obviously, but not exactly the same text, just so it's something a little bit different, so the people pay attention to it. So maybe, Francine, if you'd like to take a little stab at drafting that, and we could take a look at it at some point.
Okay.
And I don't know, what do you think? Shall we have it ready for like next Thursday, maybe? I'm not sure how, I don't know if he has a real schedule of when he puts his newsletters out, but if we got it to him by Wednesday or Thursday next week, maybe at the most.
Yeah, or sooner. Yeah, either way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be a lot, but I don't know, I'd like to just sort of, shake up the language a little bit, so that it's not just the same thing that people see all the time. I think people tend to ignore it once they see the same thing sometimes, so. All right, okay, Easthampton Media, I had sent a message over to Jen Ramsey, and they're not obviously working in person, they're working from home. And she said that they could help by, if we sent them a press release of some sort. And then she said text announcements are put on the community calendar that runs between all the programming. So that's an option, or we could produce a public service announcement and they could broadcast it. So we still need to talk that through a little bit more and see what we might want to do. If we want to have a little interview thing, I don't know. Anybody have any ideas about that? I mean, Easthampton Media we should use for sure, but if anybody has any creative ideas, just offhand, and if not, we can deal with them after the meeting. But
Yeah.
okay. So just be thinking about, if anybody would like to, I don't know, be interviewed, or if we want to write up just a little press release, or what might be good. And maybe what we put in Robert's newsletter could be the same thing for Easthampton Media, for that matter. So, something like that.
And also, why don't we just, if they're going to just run this like a loop or something, use the poster.
Yep.
That's a nice visual.
Sure. Good idea. Yep. Okay. Very good. Yep.
I
Okay.
wondered about the poster on Roberts too.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Absolutely. Good idea. All right. I'm going to jump for a second. So we've got the posters. We had said 12, and I think we've increased it to like 20. So the posters are getting ready, and now with Ken volunteering to get those printed, that'll be great. We will need to have people just helping to put those out around town, so we can still work on that. Jim said you would help out with Cindy and do that.
Yep.
Go ahead, Jim.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'll leave it to you and Cindy to get together and just divide up forces. And once we get them, now, do we want them out? Also, we want them out by, say, the 26th then, or the 27th at the latest, Saturday at the latest. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then how many hard copies do you think we should leave at these locations? Like 10, or what makes sense?
Well, we have 150, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would leave 50 at Town Hall off the bat.
Yeah. Okay. And we have to figure out where to leave. That's the other thing. We have to figure out where to leave them at Town Hall. That's the other thing, because that's not going to be open. So that's the other logistical issue, is both the pickup and drop off at Town Hall.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, 10 to 15 maybe at the various businesses. But Cindy, you had an idea with the library. You've talked to Barbara a bit.
Yes.
Could you talk about that?
Barbara's working really hard to gradually open up the library, talking to other librarians in the valley and trying to be consistent. And she's immensely concerned about the protection and safety of multiple hands going into the same bin. And, we have to be careful about that. So she's actually recommended that we put some sort of a bin, maybe open, so nobody has to touch a cover, on the bench, which is right outside the library on the left side of the door. And we're not sure if, and I'm going to open this up for discussion, should the surveys be individually bagged or not? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of wasted plastic, in my opinion. But what do people think?
I actually don't think so.
You don't think it's necessary?
No.
For what purpose?
To avoid having people get their germs on the next survey. Of course, if they touch the bag, they're touching the outside of the bag, right?
In the virus, it's been shown that it just doesn't stay that long on surfaces like that. Otherwise, none of us would get Amazon boxes. So
Right.
I think we're okay.
So we don't need to individually bag them. We'll just put them, and I mean, in terms of 50 being at the town hall, we can put 25 or 30
Well, yeah.
at the library.
Take back the 50. You can cut it back. Because you make it more foot traffic at the library than you do at town hall. I don't know.
Well, we won't get the same kind of foot traffic as we have in the past because it's
Oh, I
not
understand.
open. It's still not open. It's
But
only-
people are coming to pick up their books. They're leaving their little orders outside. Is that correct?
Correct, but there's no browsing. So it's not like, incidentally going in there, just to visit. You have to make an appointment to pick up your stuff.
Yeah. My thought was that she could put one survey in with each book pickup.
Actually, she thought of that, but I guess that's open for discussion. We actually came up with the idea that it would be an insert similar to the tax bill that would go to each book pickup bag versus the actual survey, because
Okay.
that's kind of a waste. Some people are going to do it online, So
Okay.
what do people think? Do we want a survey with each
Insert. I vote for insert.
insert? Okay.
Okay. So we might need to print some more inserts then to go for the library.
Okay.
Okay.
I actually think it's a brilliant idea to include that
We've
Okay.
with their books.
with
All
each.
right.
So actually, Barbara's very, very willing to be, on our team and work on all of this together. And she's accommodating us as much as she can think of.
All right.
And
That was great. That's wonderful. So
So I should print how many more?
Yeah.
Another
So-
200 or so?
Well,
you
it's
got what, three to a page last time?
Yeah.
So why don't you just print 40 more? 3 times 4 is 120.
Okay.
Have you printed them already, Francine?
Yep. The treasurer already has them.
It was pretty reasonably priced at Paradise, right?
Yeah, it was $58. And we got $25.50. They cut them. Nice job. You'll
Okay.
see.
Okay.
What color?
Light green.
Light green, nice. Okay.
Great. All right. So then that leads us into the next one. So Francine, we had thought that we would be stuffing these with the tax bill, but we are not.
No, she didn't. I volunteered that people would help her, and nope. She
Okay.
wanted them. I got them to them yesterday, I guess, or the day before. And they were, they're going to be mailing this stuff out next week. So plenty of
Okay.
time.
And so all in all, we had about what, 2,400 copies?
25.50.
2,550. Okay, great. So theoretically, per the households that they send out. So that's pretty good coverage, I think. So hopefully people will see that. And again, what people have to do there, and I think we'll have Cindy bring that up, because a couple people, Margaret and Christina, wouldn't have seen this. Just one last thing before we do that, though, we will have at some point, hopefully, a town meeting, which is looking like mid-August right now. So it's going to be a couple of weeks before the survey ends. We're talking about August 15th as the town meeting time. Unclear where it's going to be. Once we get to that point, we would want to still try and distribute there in case anybody might not have filled it out by mid-August. So any thoughts there? I think we've made great progress on all of our tasks. This looks good to me. I'm really excited about how much we've gotten done, and everybody's working on this, so that's great. Cindy, could you maybe bring up just the blurb, the tax bill insert one, just so people can look at it real quick? Then we'll jump to the survey.
Who's birds?
Oh, that's at my house.
Ah, you're nice. Nice.
Maybe we'll end before the frog cacophony starts next door. The woman next door let her pool go to, I don't know, stinky water, and the frog
Ooh.
crazy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You got to stop sharing that one, Cindy. There you go. Okay. No, I think I heard a frog.
Yeah. There's
Okay, Cindy, we got to share that. You had it for a minute. There we go. There we are. Perfect. Okay, and just that's it. Perfect. Okay, guys. So those of you that had not seen this, this is what we have put in the tax bill, and this is essentially the wording for the various newsletters that we talked about. And what we would like to do is just change it up just a little bit, I think, for Robert's newsletter and then the Easthampton media one. Okay, so just take a second and look at it if you want.
So the last sentence in the first paragraph, it's a little long. So I think maybe after the word changes, there can be a comma.
Yeah, remember, this is already printed. This is in the tax bill.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
This is it, sorry.
Never
I just wanted
mind.
to show it to you guys.
Never mind. It wasn't a big deal. It was just
Okay.
weird.
There probably are ways to shorten things. We do tend to get a
Doesn't
little
matter.
wordy.
Nope, doesn't matter.
And
Okay.
what did come out in the final is the second 2013. That's out.
Okay,
Go down 4 lines. That 2013 is gone.
okay.
So that shortens the sentence a little bit, Margaret.
Yeah, it does. No, that's good. No, it's good. It was just me being weird. Don't worry.
All right.
The question I would have is which local businesses?
Yeah, well,
Have you found the businesses who are going to take them? I'm just, I wouldn't know where to look. That was the only thing.
Well, I will say if town hall offices are closed, we have no choice but to get them to local businesses. And
Well, I understand that, but
Yeah.
which local businesses?
yep. Cindy, you had a list, I think, of some, but
I'll read them. This is, we haven't approached these, but I will say this list has come because the library has done so many events in the past and created a list of businesses that usually accommodate us. So there's Pure Foods, Easthampton Savings Bank, Bashista's Orchard, the Credit Union, Heritage Books, the Post Office, Council on Aging, the Church Pantry, Sheldon's, the Transfer Station, Hair Station, Salon Advantages, O'Reilly's. We haven't ever used them before. I don't think. That's the auto shop, auto part shop. Cumberland Farms, the alcohol, the liquor store that's I think called Southampton Liquors, right there next to Dunkin' Donut, and the other one called Smitty's that's been rebuilt in recent years. Those are the ones that we hope to utilize. Big Y
And
is
then
not
when you
interested
do
in ever
decide,
posting.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Christina, what?
When the businesses are decided as to where the surveys will be, will that list of businesses be supplied or provided somewhere so people will know where to go?
no, that's a good idea.
yep. Maybe Brittany, we could do something certainly on the social media side, and then we could also probably add it to the town website.
Sure.
And I'm thinking that maybe Robert might carry this for us a couple of times in
Yeah.
different forms. And maybe after this initial one, maybe in a subsequent one, you could say, oh, have you done your survey yet? They're available at,
Right.
Mhm.
and make
Yep.
them there.
Yeah, I think that would all be good. Okay, great idea, Christina. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Okay, any further questions there? If not, we'll move on to the survey. All right. So, Cindy, I'm going to see if I can take back the host and give it to Ken. So let me just try and do that. I'm not sure I can, but
Or Cindy can maybe make me.
oh, Cindy can. Yeah, Cindy, you transfer it to Ken. Yep, I don't need to take it back. There you go. So just go up to participants and click on Ken's name. And then it should give you a drop down that says make host or co-host. I hope.
Worked.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So you
So
should be the
let's-
host now, Ken.
Good.
Okay.
So Ken, we'll turn it over to you. And first of all, before we do that, how many people did everybody have a chance to do the actual survey online?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't do it, but I looked at all the questions.
Okay.
Same here.
All right.
I did it.
Yeah.
I
Jim, did
did.
you try it?
I did try it and I completed it.
Yeah, I had 6 responses altogether,
Good.
recorded responses.
Okay.
Yeah, as I mentioned in my email yesterday, that was because of the license version that I'm using. I had to create a copy of the one that I want, and that's what we'll work off today. Francine sent me a note yesterday regarding the last page, which was supposed to be the optional question.
Right.
So that was that. And then before the meeting, it sounded as if there were some comments with regards to some of the logical steps that, if you answered yes or no, what question would pop up. And then I think as you were handling the tasks, I figured out the question that, or the comment that Chris posed, which was regarding a question that came up after you filled out the sidewalk extensions question, where in town should sidewalks be installed? I think the following question was just like comment or, something.
There's either that or the housing one. There's one on housing there too. So we'll check it as we go through maybe.
Okay.
So I think, yeah, I'm just gonna say I know people have given me some feedback. We had Diana Fetterman, who's been our sort of local editor, volunteer editor, has provided a few comments as well. So we may just go through. I don't know what's going to be easier, Ken, to correct things on a hard copy or.
Well, we can do it now because I'm using the survey builder at the moment. So if there's some, the only thing is with the license that I have, there are certain types of questions that we'll have to figure out how to navigate, ensuring that we get the answer that we want.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So
Let me
for
go
the
ahead.
for the few people that did take a look at it or try to do it, what was your first reaction in terms of how long it took you or how easy it was to navigate or anything like that? Just a general reaction first before we do the questioning.
Well, I did it rather rapidly because I knew what the questions were. It took me about 10 minutes. And I will say that my initial response was there was some confusion in some of the questions, in my opinion. And it's not an issue you have, Ken. I just think it's the way it came out in terms of technical. And when we start going through each part, not only did I take it, but I had my husband take it, and he had some questions, and Diane Fetterman and her husband, who are both professional editors, had some comments. So I think rather than say any more, you'll see my comments because Chris has them all when we go through each part.
And we had just a couple from Rini, the head of the select board. We had none from the planning board. So that's kind of where we are. And just to say, we did add in at the very end this optional notion of I live on whatever street, road, et cetera, as an optional question. Is not numbered. At least on the hard copy, it's not numbered. I would hope that it wasn't numbered also on the survey one, but I'm not sure that it is possible not to number it.
I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, that I think, as I explained to you, and Ken and I talked about it quite a bit, that at least it's giving us some idea of the demographics. If people choose to respond to it, we'll know how far our survey actually reached around town without invading anybody's personal address or who they really are or anything like that. And I think especially since most of our brainstorming ideas of what we were going to do for community outreach really changed, that this is at least one way to try to get at that. And Ken and Cruz I think your folks at PVPC thought it was an okay approach as well, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, master plan efforts usually, and this is all throughout the Commonwealth and all throughout the country, I've been through a couple of master planning efforts where here in the Valley, I actually haven't had an instance where the committee wanted to ask that question. In other places where I've worked, in Florida, those questions were asked because they wanted to understand where the responses were coming from and how to. They also had a comment on how to address outreach in general. They found that being able to identify where in town the surveys can be coming from, and it was just listing the street that they lived on, or subdivision. I don't recall, but it offered a glimpse into how the town or the city was doing in trying to do its outreach and trying to notify people, and it was helpful. So I think that was just a comment that I shared with Chris. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it allows the town to understand where if there is a gap in communication to a certain part of town, you may find, if people are answering that question, you may find that that may be the case. So I think it's helpful, as you had those questions come up in your meetings.
Okay. All right. Well, and hopefully by making it optional and making it at the very end, it's not going to block anybody from submitting the survey. That's our hope anyway.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's kind of go through this.
Okay, well, I can go ahead and share the screen if you want.
Yeah, I guess that's probably.
That.
Why don't we do that? Perfect. Okay. So let me. Did anybody have any thoughts about this intro? I've got one or two things that have come to my attention, but I'll let anybody else give their input if there's something there on just the general intro to the survey.
So Chris, you've got all the notes that you and I have already talked about, so I'm not going to talk at all, right?
Okay, all right. So one of the things, comments that have come actually both individually and collectively back have been, oh, master plan. So yeah, so we already did a survey. So what are we going to be doing again? And whatever happened the last time, and just kind of that, not really apathy, but kind of like, well, we never saw much out of it last time. So what's the purpose of it this time, kind of thing. So. Couple thoughts in the very first sentence would be to change, I guess we already did, important changes. You already had that. We had initial changes, and to change it to important changes. So rather than just initial, I think I just saw it somewhere.
It says initial changes and it also says important changes.
Okay.
So
I think we want important rather than initial would be my thought.
So the 2013 master plan survey provided direction, which resulted in
some important changes.
could you put a comment? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. And then the other suggestion from Diana was right in that same sentence, instead of saying as well as, just say and. just narrowing down the language. We get a little verbiage here. So of several bylaws and other important changes.
Do you want to use important twice in that sentence?
Sorry.
That was my concern, is that we had initial changes and we had important changes, and now we have two important changes. And
Okay, good point. That's true.
But just in No.
Well, maybe we leave initial the way it was. You're right. We have important changes twice.
Can I see the full sentence?
Yeah, I can't see the whole thing either.
Um,
Can you move it over to the, there's
Yeah.
something behind it. We're seeing
The window.
are you,
let me see. Let me see.
Why don't we
This is
just
not-
look at, yeah.
Here.
That's
yeah,
good.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we have important there. Yeah.
So you could just say including this adoption of several bylaws that have benefited Southampton, rather than the and other important changes as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Change that.
So after bylaws, get rid of and other important changes, and just, leave it to the bylaws, and because it says including, so that makes it sound like, yes, we have done other things, which we have.
Yeah, we didn't want to get into a lot of detail about describing what has been done because a lot of it is not, it may not sound as important as it is. I don't know. Anybody's thoughts? Go ahead. Anybody else? All right. The other thing, based on that, the thing that I think that when we put in the application to DLTA, we kept talking about an action plan. And I'd kind of like to see about putting something in there because to me, that would kind of forestall this notion of, oh, well, here we go again. We did this before and nothing happened, or is this a new master plan? Or, it would just sort of allay those kind of questions. So a suggestion would be, let's see. Okay, right before the sentence that, and this is a suggestion, the sentence that begins, please ask each member. Before that sentence, see what you think about this. This will create an action plan for implementing the master plan, or something like that. So seeks residents' latest opinions toward more substantive improvements to guide community development over the next decade. But then this will create an action plan.
How about something like feedback from the residents or responses from the residents will inform an action plan to be created by the end of the year?
Or prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's what we're trying to get at.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
One of the issues is that I've heard from a couple different people, including Faith, who worked on the poster, et cetera. Are we really writing a new master plan? So there's that concept of, are people concerned that, in fact, this is a new master plan? That's why Chris's sentence for insertion said action plan to implement the master plan. That was, I liked kind of the way she said it. It was shorter.
But it's action plan and master plan. So go ahead, Jim.
Sorry. No.
How about using the word or a phrase, I haven't got it clear in my mind, but to further the implementation of the master plan, so that there's the suggestion that some of the work has been done and this is the next step.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So maybe responses from the survey will further implement.
Will inform an action plan to further the implementation of the 2013 master plan, or something along those lines. Obviously, I haven't articulated that well.
So Ken, just maybe if you could just jot down a couple things. So results will inform an action plan to further
To advance,
I like advance.
Yeah,
Mhm.
how about advance further implementation? I think it has to be implied that some of it has been implemented already. No?
Yes, and there's a little bit of that in the very first sentence, but it just talked about the bylaws because we didn't think of other things that we wanted to list. So it said that we had some initial, or some important changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Including adoption of several bylaws, which benefited Southampton. So the new committee did latest opinions toward more substantive improvements to guide community development over the next decade. Responses.
Responses? I think responses is better than results.
Yeah.
Be responses.
Yeah. The responses will inform an action plan to further advance.
Or you could just say will advance further implementation
Yeah.
of it rather than
Okay.
inform the action plan.
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
So will
Yeah.
advance further implementation. Yep. Then we
Yeah.
don't have all the
That's
plans.
better, much better.
Yeah, I don't want to say 2013 master plan though, again. Don't need to, do we?
No,
No.
you've
No.
already listed up there. Master plan.
Yeah. Implementation of. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm stuck on the action plan, but I'll go with the flow. That's fine. I want people to realize it's going to be a living document. It's not going to be something that's going to just sit on a shelf for the next 5 years. You know, that's where I was going with it, but that's okay.
How about saying something, so the responses will advance further implementation of the master plan, comma, and lead to a report creating.
Yeah, too many words. No, I mean, another report is what I don't want people to think this is just going to be. You know, I really want, these are real things that we can hang our hat on and actually do and get accomplished.
Well, you people want the reality of the vision that they set so many
Yeah.
years ago.
Right.
Well, how about that it will inform an action plan that will further the implementation? If Chris is wanting it to be a really dynamic imply a dynamic ongoing implementation of it, can that be added? Will inform an action plan or guide. It's hard to compose as a committee, I guess.
Yeah. Well, let's just keep the thoughts there, and you know, maybe just put action plan in parentheses somewhere so we come back to it. I mean, we may not, you know, we'll be here all night long if we do this, you know, to this level of detail. But my only thought, guys, is just to try and stop the notion that this is just going to be the same old thing that just sits and nobody ever does anything with it. So
Right.
It's got to be more lively than just a report, in my mind. But so, and with those extra words, we probably don't need to have the master plan implementation committee down there. We may not have room for it by the time, on the hard copy, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't have room for it.
Right.
So we might just take off. I mean, I don't know that we need the impact there. We've already said thank you. So.
Oh, here?
No, down at the bottom, the master plan, just take off the who we are. I mean, I think. Okay, so we'll sort of know that we want to come back to that a little bit. Anybody have any other bright ideas? I mean, I'm willing to go with the flow here. I don't want to be the only one saying that this needs to be an action plan. So if you really don't agree, don't let me steer you in that direction.
I agree with you.
Okay. Anybody else? No?
I mean, I think the group knows there will be a document at the end. It's how you want to communicate that to the public. You know, your group, the committee that I'm working with over the year. So,
but the document is going to be actions. It's not
right. It's going to be actions.
that are hopefully achievable.
But they're going to be related to your original, strategy
Absolutely.
that you've outlined in the master plan.
Yeah. Hmm.
But,
Okay.
but I also see it as giving people a chance to not create new goals and objectives, but reprioritize the ones, because I think 7 years has gone by and maybe people's thinking or needs have changed a little bit. And I don't know how you communicate that.
Yeah. And we have that in like the third or fourth sentence. We talked about the residents' latest opinions. Second sentence. I don't know if that's.
I see, yeah.
Or latest opinions, or I don't know. At the end of the second sentence, I think.
Yeah, I
Or-
see it.
Yeah,
It's there.
second line.
Yeah, here.
Right. Maybe just highlight that or something, Ken, so that we know what we've got to still tinker with it. I don't know. But yeah, I think you're right, Francie. We want to sort of help people re-verify, right? Or
Yeah. And,
reconfirm, or
and reprioritize.
Okay. All right. We'll do some tinkering there. All right. Keep it on down so we don't spend all night here. Question 1. Just one suggestion was we don't really need total years. We could just say how many years have you been a resident?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get rid of some of this extra verbiage here. Number 3, again, just to shorten the wording, it's a little bit awkward the way it's worded. So a simpler way to say this would be, what is your gender identity? Rather than to which gender identity do you most identify?
I thought that too.
It is a little bit mouthy there, shall we say.
And as far as transgender, do you need male and female or just transgender?
The way that it was posed was both female and male.
Okay.
All right. So what is your gender identity is a simpler question, okay? All right. Anybody chime in on anything under 4 or 5? Anything
Can I
there?
stop you for 1 second, Chris?
Yeah.
On number 3, do we
Yeah.
really need to put in choose one?
Yeah, take that off. Yes.
It's sort of insulting.
Yeah,
I mean, do some people choose more than one?
you're right.
Good point.
Okay.
Yep. Good point. Thank you. All right.
So Ken, would that are people allowed to pick more than one on that one?
No, I'm now that Cindy had posed that, everything that says choose only one, those questions, you can only choose one. So I can remove all the language that says choose only one. The one that are like the square boxes, which is like number 5, is the one that you can choose multiple answers. But the circles, you can only choose one.
Yeah, that makes sense. So there's no reason to have to choose one.
Yeah. Okay. So what is your age? And that was a drop-down selection, which I think was fine. Number 5, suggestion was to get rid of the word single in the very first one and just make it homeowner.
Mhm.
Right?
I think that's appropriate.
So number 5, my husband and I, the way it was formally written, would not fit in any of the categories. We're not single, we're married. We have children, but they don't live with us. So there isn't anyone that's just a sort of ordinary old couple like we are.
Yeah, I checked shared household. I didn't know what else to say. But you're right, Cindy. There was
So
no
this
there was
homeowner,
no
but if
box.
it was homeowner, you would check homeowner.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so-
I think the intent with single homeowner, right or wrong, was as opposed to you own multiple homes in town. I don't know, a home out by the lake, and I don't know. I'm out.
No, I think it meant single person, the way we had
Really?
it. But yeah, I think that's how we did it. When you look at the other questions there, the other possible answers. So I think if we just take out single, I think that gives everybody all the choices. Is that good? Yeah?
Yep.
All righty.
So,
Yeah.
so single, so couple with children, and then obviously a single parent has children.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to, and then
So-
what's shared household?
Y-
And how is that different from multi-generational? To me, that would be shared.
Shared household
Might
could
have a
be
roommate. You have a roommate.
shared household could be 3 or 4 friends living together. Not related,
Okay,
maybe.
okay.
Everybody okay with
So I
5?
think
or-
that should be a shared household. What is the wording to capture what Chris just said? Unrelated people sharing a household? Unrelated by marriage or blood? I don't know. Is it
So maybe
important?
shared household with unrelated
Occupants,
residents or
yeah.
something. Although some of you might be, oh, I don't know. I think we're parsing things.
How do you want to revise that? With unrelated persons?
Occupants, residents.
Um,
That's fine.
Okay.
Um,
Well, wait a sec.
no,
I think the wording, if we're going to do this, we should say household shared with unrelated residents. Not shared household with unrelated.
yes, yes,
Household
yes.
shared. So just sort of transfer those first 2 words, Ken,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, good point. All right, sounds good. Everybody good with that now?
Yep.
All righty. Number 6, again, a little bit of wordiness. Suggestion would be just to say you believe Southampton should grow by 2040, and not bother with and be known as.
what model
I
represents? how
favor
you believe-
that.
So how you believe Southampton should grow by 2040,
Yeah.
and just take out, that and be known as or whatever. Again, we were getting a little wordy-ish here.
How do you believe Southampton should grow by 2040?
Right.
Okay.
Any objections to that? Are we okay? Again, just trying to make it a little cleaner.
I think the word grow is a little strange, but
Okay. Develop.
I can't think of another option at the moment.
Evolve.
Evolve's a good one.
Yeah, I like evolve.
All right. All righty. In the first possible answer there, Cindy's thought was, instead of with open space preservation, because we kind of have that one also in the third one, that we have commercial and residential growth with agriculture instead. So yeah, just add with agriculture rather than with open space. We'll put it up and see what people think. And then with the third one there, and then we can look at it, instead of promotes, just use the word balances again. A community that balances large-scale commerce along main roads and preserves outlying open space. So changing the verb promotes to balances. So it's like the first one. So that was a suggestion from Cindy and Ted. Any reaction, thoughts?
I think it's good.
I'm going to remove this comma because I don't think this belongs here under a rural residential community, comma.
Was there a comma? Oh, okay. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
there shouldn't be a comma.
Yep,
It's so
Okay.
tiny, can't see it.
I know. Everybody okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Now, number 7 is our nightmare. One of the nightmares. This split tax thing is hard to understand, I think. And when it actually came up in the screen, I'm trying to remember, Ken, does this whole definition come up by itself and then the answers are,
No, so it would show up.
is it all together like that?
It's all together. So what we can do is, let's see, maybe create how we do with where we spell out the affordable housing data. Maybe
Yeah.
do the same thing here.
Put it in a box or something, or?
Yep. So
Yeah.
let me see.
But I think this is where our language was just,
My husband found this entirely confusing. He had no
Yeah.
idea what we were asking.
right. So what I think we were trying to ask was, how important is it to have more commercial development in town? And people tend to think that if we draw in more commercial development, then that's going to be more taxes and, improve our tax base. And what we were trying to say is that even if we do, we have such a small commercial tax base that we would not do a split tax rate. Like other towns around us also don't do a split tax rate. But I agree with you. It's really kind of confusing. Totally open to some ideas about how to get that point across. That we wouldn't necessarily. I mean, I don't think there's a likelihood of us. Francine, you've been around longer than I have. On this tax rate.
I was just going to say, why don't we just say Southampton has one tax rate for residential and commercial properties? The concept of split just, I think complicates it for people.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Greg said, what? You could split it? He just didn't understand it.
Yeah. Okay.
And he also felt that the sentence about merely shifting the burden is a value judgment
Okay.
as
Yeah.
opposed to, just presenting a question.
Okay. So Southampton has one tax rate, Francine, is that?
Yeah, for residential and commercial properties. That's just says what it is.
Yep.
Okay.
If you want to add industrial there, you can add industrial, but just so that everybody understands we all pay the same rate.
Okay. Jim, thoughts? Yeah? Anybody?
Southampton has one tax rate for residential, commercial, and industrial properties in town.
So then knowing that, get rid of everything in between. Knowing that, how important is it to you to encourage new commercial development in town? And if it's that much shorter, Ken, then we don't need the text box.
Right.
Okay, so we can make that one sentence. Recognizing that Southampton has one tax rate for commercial, residential, and retail, or whatever it says, how important is it to develop more commercial properties?
Okay. I like that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Fine by me.
That's a lot cleaner and a lot easier to understand. Thank you. Very good.
Oh, this is, did I capture this, Cindy?
I can't read it. Ken.
So
It looks like you did.
Yes, I would say so.
it says, recognizing that Southampton has one tax rate for residential, commercial, and industrial properties, how important is it to you to encourage new commercial development in town?
Yep.
Take out to you. Because
Oh.
everybody,
Is it?
Yeah.
how
Right.
important is it?
Yeah.
Okay, looking good, guys. That's great. All right, then this is where we change the order of the pages so that we could fit in that last question on where do you live. And so housing then becomes the next section, number 8. All righty. Were there any thoughts there on 8 or 9? I think one of their, Jim, Ken, on 9, that might have been where there was a comments thing based on your income level. I think we have comments in the hard section, in the hard copy rather, but that's what came up as a separate question, number 10,
Yeah.
which we don't want. So I don't know if there's another button for comments or so, I don't know. Yeah, we don't want a separate 10 that's kind of divorced.
So what I think we can do here is edit this question and then allow for, what is it? Because you want them to choose yes or no, but then you
Right.
also want to offer the chance to comment, correct?
Yeah, especially if they say no, I guess.
So,
Oh.
I mean, the way that I had it before creating this logical question that would follow if you chose yes or no, and we can, still play with that, was that I had for yes, having the ability to write in a comment,
Uh-huh.
but then also doing the same for no. So you would be forced to choose yes or no, and then you'd have a box to provide a comment.
So how does this work on the paper version?
It's okay on the paper version. It's just a line.
Okay,
Yes, no, and a comments
Okay,
line. But what the
okay.
problem was here was that the comments box appeared by itself on another page in the electronic version
okay,
as number 10.
I see.
Right.
Gotcha.
So that's
So if I remove this question, is this sufficient? Or maybe we should qualify this with yes, and then comma comment if necessary, or something like that.
yeah.
And no.
I guess
comment.
I just don't want a new 10 because it's going to be different than our hard copy.
Yeah, no, I don't think that it needs to be affiliated with number 9. So
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
when I got to it, it was a brand new page and all it was 10 and it said comment and I didn't know what it was all about. So it needs to be tied into number 9 somehow, whether it's yes,
So
right,
then,
comment, or can you make a third box that says another circle box and says comment under yes, no?
yes, yeah, we can, but then you wouldn't be able to choose yes or no. You would be forced to comment
I
based
see.
on that.
Right.
Okay.
So, and that was the reason why, I mean, yes, I understand that,
Yeah.
the question, the way it was originally posed,
Yeah.
was
Well,
if you chose yes or no, you'd have the ability to comment on that. And maybe it won't match necessarily number by number for the hard copy, but I would know that when incorporating any or documenting any of the results on a hard copy, I would know what to fill out, because that's what's going to have to happen after all of this is said and done.
so
Right,
maybe,
that's the manual process anyway, isn't it, Ken?
Right. It's the manual
Right.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so maybe we just add yes or no, but then after the questions say please comment in number 10 or something so that people connect it. Otherwise you just have a 10 comment.
yeah, I don't know.
You have to either you don't have the comment or you
Yeah.
connect it somehow in people's minds with question number 10.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, do we need to have them have a comment? So based on your income level, are there sufficient housing options for you and your family? Yes or no?
So if you were going through this and you put yes, I'll remove the number 10, but if you just ignore it on the screen that you see comment, you could put in something here next to yes.
Okay.
But what I was going to suggest is then you say either in the body of question 9, say, please provide additional comment if you wish, something like that.
Could
Yeah,
it be 9A, question 9A for comment?
No, I can't fix the numbers.
Okay.
There's going to be an issue with another one where there is display logic, which is the next question, which is if you're not satisfied with your present housing, another question will pop up and you'll answer because blah, 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 blah. But for this, I think, to eliminate this number 10 comment box,
Yeah.
maybe we just write, based on your income level, are there sufficient housing options for you and your family in Southampton? Please comment, provide any additional comments in the box.
Yeah, provide any additional
Right.
comments.
That's fine.
Yeah, are we overthinking this? So on number 9, you have a choice, yes or no. When you click it, Ken, the cursor seems to automatically go to the box to the right of it, depending on whether you click yes or no.
Yeah.
Isn't it obvious that that's a comment spot?
But I think you have to say just, please comment if you want. You don't want to make it mandatory to comment.
No.
Right.
Someone may not want to comment.
I
And
mean,
so I think you just
right.
say, leave a comment optional and then.
Yeah, and we can even make this
To
even
say
smaller,
comments invited.
like a smaller font or something like that.
And so they would put their comment in that box with yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
And
So,
it's expandable, so if they wanted to write a novel, it could. Or-
Okay,
then-
so that would keep it within number 9 then, rather than
yeah,
having.
so I'll remove this.
Perfect, I like that.
So like if I click number 9 here, yes, please provide any comments if you wish, additional comments if you wish. They put the comments in there.
I would leave that the same font though. I wouldn't make it smaller.
Okay.
I would leave it all the same. Maybe because I have really old eyes. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I think that's good. That solves that problem, I think, because it was kind of funny when I hit it. Yeah. All right, number 10. Anything there? We have satisfied or not satisfied, and then what happens when you click I am not satisfied? What happens when you do that? Okay, so then that becomes a separate, yeah, that's where this numbering got me confused last night. Okay.
Right, so there will be an additional question because we've created an additional step. There's no other way to have all what we're trying to accomplish in that one question. Just the way that the data is, or the question is posed.
And the paper one has this in it already, I assume.
Right. The paper one has it where if you're not satisfied with the present housing, right under it, you have the reasons why. Because you want to provide those options. And there's no mechanism under, the survey that we have that would necessarily have the same type of.
The only thing you can do is to say, if unsatisfied, please answer question number 11. If satisfied, skip to number 12. I mean, I answer surveys all the time, and that is
Yes.
something that doesn't use display logic. And you could do that in both the written but I mean, that's up to you, because I think whoever's ever entering the data is the one who really has to deal with that.
Right.
And I think you're right. You get lots of direction in these kinds of things.
So,
If yes, go to 12. If no, go to 11.
But the thing is, if you do this, then you're going to 11. But if you do this, so don't create the logic. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think I was only saying that because it just matters on data entry. That's all it matters. It doesn't matter to the person filling out one survey in writing or online. It just matters only to the people who are doing the data entry. And if we're cool with that, then I think it's fine to use the logic.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's nice and clean.
I do too. It less verbiage,
Yep.
Yeah. I think the challenge.
Manually, so we'll just be aware.
And I think the challenge is if you say go to 11, no matter whether you check satisfied or unsatisfied, you're going to go to an 11, but it's a different 11, right?
And that's what I was saying, Chris, is that if I remove the logic,
Yeah.
11 would now be a different question. It would be the reasons why you're not satisfied with the present housing. And then we would have to qualify number 10 with, please skip to 12 if you are satisfied with your housing. Please answer number 11 if you're not. So this creates, this is, because you're filling this out on the screen, I think as someone mentioned that it is for me because I'm going to be doing the data collection and putting in the data.
Yeah. Because if you click yes, that's what you're going to see for number 11. But if you click no, it's going
to become, wait, let me just,
yeah,
it's going to become number 12.
right.
Right.
Which I think is fine. I think we should
Yeah.
go with that.
I agree. I agree.
And are you fine with it just saying, so when you click no, then it would pop up as because
Yes.
these options.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And then the other box you can also write in, right?
The other, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Can-
All right.
On the point that my physical condition makes it difficult to get around, is that really the reason, or is my physical condition makes it difficult for me to manage my household?
Uh-huh. Could be. Yep.
If we change it here, then we need to make sure that we change it on the hard copy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm making notes as we go. So I think what we were thinking about here was probably more that disability issue, Francine, I think originally.
Right?
Um,
But this says more, I don't know, mobility to me as opposed to being able to maintain my home on my own
yeah.
without us, you know, that's what I'm looking at it.
Or how about my physical condition makes it difficult
Oh, maybe.
to get around?
I think that's
I
good.
like what you said, Chris. My
I do
physical
too.
condition makes it difficult.
Makes
Period.
it difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That may solve our problem a
Yeah,
little
that
bit.
covers a whole lot of conditions.
Yes.
All
Or
right, good.
difficult or challenging, whichever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we like challenging better?
I don't know, difficult is probably simpler. That's
Yeah.
fine.
I think it's-
Okay. All right. All right. So then you're going to be on 12 on this one, whereas in the hard copy, it's going to be 11 still.
Right.
Oh, okay. All righty. So this is the one where just one small change here. Instead of do you anticipate, instead of will meet your needs, how about would meet your future needs? And then Rini thought we should add senior housing as an option.
You know, what's interesting is that we would love eventually to move to another living situation, but none of those capture what we want, which is a house with land.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't answer that, even though I know we want to move.
Okay. Good. So we can
I don't
maybe
know if
add a little.
change anything. I just thought it was interesting that I couldn't answer that question in a way that made sense because I already own a house. So
Yeah.
answering owning a house wouldn't be right. It would, you know, be different.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, living in assisted living implies senior housing. I would put assisted living / senior facility.
All right. And is that different than the one over there that was owning or renting a dwelling with everything on one floor?
It is different.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, what's also missing here, I'm realizing is, you know, maybe someone wants to live in a 55 plus community. That's not assisted living.
Yeah. Well, we can probably add in another one or two here if we have to.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Because Margaret, what I think you're at, there's kind of an assumption maybe that these are all about aging and maybe downsizing. And Margaret, you're looking for something that doesn't fit these categories. Maybe we need to, you know,
Right.
It's not necessarily expanding, but it's having more space, owning more
Well,
land.
and I think some people would expand. Some people own a small house and then now they're going to have children, and so they would expand.
Well, could we do something with that owning a house and just put with more space or more land?
Yeah. A larger house, a smaller house.
You want to,
Well, the issue with that is owning a house is the way it is good for those who are currently in an apartment.
Correct.
So
Right.
you almost need to differentiate and say,
Yeah.
owning a larger house. Well, see, this is where you could put owning a house with more land. Is that different than owning a larger house? Could be.
We
But
don't
I
want
don't know
we don't want a larger house. We just want more land.
Yeah.
Right. So even saying, so you're really, there's two potential additional options there. Owning a larger house, families getting bigger.
Mhm.
Owning more land.
or you can create an other.
That's true.
Other would be fine.
Right, because I think it's a great idea, Ken, because we can think of a million options here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like you can select more than one. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes,
Choose all that apply.
you can.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so we're going to add other, and we're going to put in living in an assisted living / senior facility.
Yes.
Does that capture senior housing good enough? Yeah, everybody okay with that?
I am.
I don't know, because I realized Rini specifically used the word senior, but I kind of liked, somebody just said 55 plus community.
Yeah, I think there should be that.
What do you think, Jim? I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, I couldn't hear what you said.
So I think that there should be a separate category for 55 plus. That's not assisted living. That's not a senior facility. These are independent older adults. I won't even say seniors, 55 plus, but you see a lot of these communities develop in different towns. And so I think that a lot of people could be checking other and writing that in. I think it's worthy of its own.
Okay, so we would say living in a 55 plus community.
Mhm.
55 plus independent community even, because I think people need to see that.
Okay,
Southampton Villages.
Yep,
yeah, okay.
I'm
All
ready.
right, then we'll leave the assisted living / senior also as one.
Yep, please.
All right. I'm okay with that. Everybody working on that? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we came up to the definition of affordable housing, which if I recall came up as its own separate screen, right, Ken?
So the way it shows here, it can, if you want to put a separate.
No, not necessarily. Well, I mean, it felt like I read it more than one time, but maybe I didn't. Yeah, I thought it was its own.
So what I did was I created this text box
Yeah.
in a different color.
Okay.
And then right under it is on a scale, and it's just informative at this point. It doesn't, suggest anything other than I now have this knowledge. Maybe this will help me answer the next couple of questions.
Right.
Okay.
And I see that the definition has been tweaked a little bit. There was an extra article or something. It didn't read well. It reads better now. So somebody updated it from when I did the survey.
Okay.
So my.
Oh no,
my
I'm
husband-
sorry. I take that back. It's not fixed.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
What?
Where it says in the second line, no, scroll down. There you go. In the second line of that definition, it says, ooh, no, I can't.
Sorry. So
I gotta move my screen, that's all, or, there you go. The second line, it says, under, let's think of, no, I can't find it. Curses.
that are affordable to households who earn up to 80% of the area median income. Housing and Urban Development assigned Southampton under the Springfield AMI. In 2020, the amount listed by the
HUD. There it
by
is.
HUD.
Thank you.
Oh, take out the.
Yeah.
Yep,
Thank you.
yep.
Is it necessary to explain that Southampton is in the Springfield area, median income area?
I mean, I think it's a good qualifier, but you don't need to put it in there. I mean, there's going to be a lot of communities that fall under the Springfield area AMI.
Right. Isn't it right?
Okay.
I think we should take it out because
Okay.
it's confusing.
Yeah.
And that's a good point, Francine. I
So,
also want to point out something that maybe nobody else sees as a concern, but my husband did. He wondered if we should spell out who provides the subsidy. In other words, is the town going to have to subsidize this? He wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to come out of our taxes. Maybe it's self-explanatory, as I think Chris said, it already refers to the federal
Right.
guidelines. But
so are these federally subsidized or state subsidized?
It's federal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Federal, and it goes through Department of Housing and Community Development.
Yeah.
So because we removed that sentence, I'm just defining what HUD is,
Okay.
the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
well, you don't have the word US in there.
You just added it.
Oh, good. Yeah, okay.
That answers that.
Subsidized housing units that are affordable to households that earn up to 80%. Is it up to or below?
I would say below would make
Is
it.
it below 80% of the AMI or up to?
I believe that's a good question. I don't know.
Shall I look it up?
Up to or below?
Let me look up HUD affordable housing.
Well, I'll just mark this.
Yeah, let's just mark it and come back.
Yeah.
So we're taking out that one sentence. So it's going to end with AMI and then it goes to in 2020, right?
Oops.
The sentence before ends with AMI in parentheses.
And then it starts in 2020, yes.
Okay, so we've taken out that entire sentence. Okay, got it.
And to address Cindy's husband's question, which I think is a good one, you could put in that first sentence, affordable housing is defined by the federal government as federally subsidized housing.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I like
you're
that,
good.
Jim.
Yeah.
Federally, okay. All righty. Okay, and then the only thing under that was the choice of the Housing Meeting Americans with Disabilities Act, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because people might not know what that is. And
Yeah.
I know I brought it up.
Yeah, but it's not disability, it's plural, right?
Right.
It's plural, yeah.
I'm going to change the question, how this reads, because it, just looking at it again, you have there's 2 colons in it.
Okay.
So maybe on a scale of 1 to 5, I would like to see the town provide affordable and accessible housing options for first-time buyers and seniors by promoting development of.
Yes, that was one of my comments.
Okay.
But I have got to, because there might be people who need affordable housing and accessible housing that are not first-time buyers and they're not seniors. They might be somebody who, for example, one of the parents died and or for another reason, there's only one income where there used to be 2. Or who knows, they lost their job during the pandemic. So we have to think of a way to capture that whole category of people that are not first time. They've already owned a house.
Do you have an option idea, Cindy? Accessible housing options for,
People whose income levels may have changed. I don't know. What
For
else do you
people
say?
whose incomes levels would meet affordable housing, a definition of affordable housing? Or meet the definition of being eligible, whose income levels would make them eligible for affordable housing? How would that be?
long.
It's long, but I like
Right.
it better than just saying first-time buyers or something
Right,
because.
we're gonna eliminate that, so it's not that much longer, or it's not long.
Right, right.
Whose income levels would make them
That's affordable.
eligible for affordable housing.
Okay, so we would get rid of first-time buyers and seniors?
Yes,
Oh, okay, read that
So-
again. I'm trying to write as you go.
The way this reads, Chris,
Yeah.
on a scale of 1 to 5, I would like to see the town provide affordable and accessible housing options to those
for those.
whose income levels would make them eligible for affordable housing by promoting development of.
Isn't it easier just to say, I would like to see the town provide affordable and accessible housing by promoting the development of?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that, Jim.
That's a lot easier.
So, because we've already put the definition above, so
Yeah, good, Jim.
I think that's fine.
Okay. All right, so again, provide affordable and accessible housing options for, that's it?
No?
So Chris, now
Bye.
it reads, on a scale of 1 to 5, I would like to see the town provide affordable and accessible housing options by promoting development of.
Okay, so we're taking out first-time home buyers and seniors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. That definitely cleans it up, yeah, okay. All right, getting there. All right, we've only got,
7 more.
yeah.
Who's
All right,
counting?
we're trying to be speedy. I don't think there's too many more here. Jumping over to mobility. Everybody still with us? Could we hang in another half an hour?
Let's
Yep.
get it done.
Let's do it.
All right, so mobility, it's either 13 or 14, depending on this. And just again, a simple cleanup, instead of saying do you or anyone, why don't we just say, does anyone?
In your household.
Mhm.
Small,
Yep.
small, yep, all right. Okay, anybody else, please, I mean, jump in if you had questions as you were answering these too. I don't wanna, I'm sorry, I'm taking the lead here on this. Anything on the public transit one?
No?
And that's, again, you could check more than one, right, Ken? So,
That's correct. So
Okay.
anything with the squares, let me do the preview. Anything with the squares, you can choose more than one.
okay, I got your secret now. Okay, I understand. Very good. All right, and then the next one, if money becomes available.
This was the other weird one.
Yeah, we can shorten this wording too.
Okay.
Instead of indicate, change that to rank. Please rank how important each of these extensions and improvements would
Just
be.
rank the importance.
Rank, yeah, or rank the importance from 1 to 6 or something like that.
Rank the importance from 1 to 6, with 1 being the highest priority of
Yeah,
So
So-
rank the importance from 1 to 6, with 1 being the highest priority if money became available to extend the town sidewalk system.
Yeah,
That's it. That's it.
That's it.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it.
so wait a minute, so we're putting if money became available at the end?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so it begins with please rank, yeah? Or,
Yeah.
So yeah, rank the importance from 1 to 6, with 1 being the highest priority if money became available to extend the town's sidewalk system.
Good.
Okay, and after priority, is it a comma or a colon, or what is it?
Comma?
Period. It's a period.
Is that in the
No.
frog, Margaret?
Yeah,
It depends on what you're doing with the other things. I would say a period.
no, because you're ending with
Because
if money becomes available.
So with being
Why
the
not
highest
ending with
priority,
money becomes
comma,
available?
if money becomes available, because you're making a statement, you're giving an order, and so it should end in a period, nothing else.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean this?
Yeah,
The end. Yes. No, comma there, but period at the end. I thought that's what we were talking about. I'm sorry.
that's it. You got it, Kim.
Money being the
No.
highest priority, comma. Is that a comma? Really, I can't see.
Yes, sorry.
Highest
So
priority, comma, if
Yeah.
money became available to extend the sidewalk system, period, right?
Period. That's it.
Okay, it's just a reordering of the sentence. Okay, got it. All right. And then that's, okay, and then under the first one, Cumberland, it was suggested we had Cumberland Farms.
Cumberland Farms?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
what its technical name is.
Yep.
And then Veterans Bridge, capitalized bridge.
Does veterans have an apostrophe in there?
No, It's
No, I
an
don't think,
bridge.
No, it doesn't.
no.
bridge is capitalized.
Yep.
Okay. All right, anything else there, anybody? And
Maybe
then other,
take An article the before Cumberland. I don't know.
No, you don't.
Uh,
need
no.
the-
You gotta leave it between.
Oh, you
I
can
don't
take it
think
out.
you
Yeah.
need the, yeah.
Yeah, I
between-
removed it.
Between Cumberland Farms, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And, well, do we need the Veterans Memorial Bridge or no?
No.
No? Okay,
So it reads, extend sidewalks on College Highway between Cumberland Farms and Veterans Memorial Bridge
okay,
near Sheldon's.
yep. Okay. All righty.
Okay.
16, on the end of that one, the other location, again, they had a chance to write in something, right?
Yeah, so the next question is, and maybe this can be refined. I added another line here, which is different than what you saw. And I wrote neighborhood or other locations where sidewalks should be extended. And the way, so after 16, because you would rank, if you had that, let's see,
Mhm.
there. You would choose my neighborhood and then put your where you lived, and then other location. Does that make sense?
So in the electronic, that's going to be split into two questions, whereas both of those are part of the same question in the hard copy.
Correct.
Because we have install or improve sidewalks in my neighborhood, and then we wanted them to indicate where that was,
Correct.
and then other location. Okay, I guess that gets the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I qualified it with the question neighborhood or other locations where sidewalks should be extended.
Okay, and do I need to bother to change that on the hard copy? I don't think I do I?
Nope.
Okay, all right.
Because on the hard copy, they would choose their rank, and then they would choose which neighborhood or write down where they lived or other location, and that would allow me to put in that information
Okay, all right.
in this. And I think if someone were to read this, going through this, it does suggest putting the neighborhood that they live in and another location.
Yeah.
So should we say street name in your neighborhood? Or we want them to write a section of town. Honestly, that confused me. My neighborhood, I thought, do they want a yes there? Like, yes, I want them in my neighborhood. So, identify a street in your neighborhood, or
Yeah.
My neighborhood street.
my neighborhood street name. Sure.
Why don't you just say my street? Why do you have to have neighborhood?
Agreed.
So then should the question be different? Because we say neighborhood or other locations where sidewalks should be extended.
But why don't we just leave it as other location? Because if you didn't have my street there, I would just
Because
write
in
my street.
the written survey, you have the ability to add your neighborhood.
Right, and your neighborhood could be Glendale section rather than a street. Or,
Right. So I mean, if you want to change one of the one of the answers to install or improve sidewalks on my street, and then list the street, then that makes sense. And then maybe say other location in town. Because you're prioritizing 1 through 6, and you have 4 of them, that are kind of general, and then you give them the ability to answer, that you want the town to prioritize sidewalks on their street that they would name, or their neighborhood that they would name.
Well, then take out just put street name.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay, street name and other location. Leave it there.
Well, but street name would take care of it, whether it was in your neighborhood or another location, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
why do you need 2 choices there? That's what's confusing me a little bit.
Because in the written version of the survey, you have the ability to fill in install or improve sidewalks in my neighborhood, and you name the neighborhood, and then you also have other location and you name the other location.
Okay, but the written is still in draft form as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to remove that,
Yeah, could we
that's an
change
option.
it?
So then
Can
you
we
choose
change-
one, rank the importance from 1 to 5.
Yeah, see, I think, so now we're referring back to question 16, right? And I think install or improve sidewalks in my neighborhood is important. For me, I don't need one on David Street, but I would like them on Pomeroy Meadow, for example. So it's not my street, but it's in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
But you get at it with street name.
Yeah, but I think we need street name and we also need other location.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but if you're trying to harken back to question 16, you want it to match the essential wording in that, and improve sidewalks in my neighborhood or other location.
Yeah.
so again, street name in your neighborhood. Identify street name in your neighborhood.
We're back to that then, yes.
Okay. And in the hard copy, we've got indicate area in parentheses there after neighborhood. So is that okay?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think we'll understand where
Okay.
people are putting there, and we'll just take note of the streets that.
Or I can put indicate street, I suppose,
Yeah.
instead of indicate area.
Yep.
Okay.
So
And
do
then
we
we
want
leave. Yeah.
to change the language of this number 16 then?
So are we still ranking 1 to 6 or what?
Well, so I'm wondering if you, for question 17, is you put list streets or other locations where sidewalks should be extended, and you just give them a couple of blank things to fill something in. And then that deals with a variety of options.
List streets or parts of town where sidewalks should be extended.
Yes.
Installed or extended.
Yes. And then you just have a couple of blank forms in there, and then people could, like blank lines. You don't even identify them. And I would put maybe one more or something. Just a thought. Just look at it and see if that seems good or bad or indifferent.
All right.
Let's see. I'm trying to figure out what type of question this would be now.
Yeah, because you can't do a null question or a null box.
Yeah, I mean, I can just do a text like this.
Sure.
So it would just be listing a street, list streets and or parts of town, and or should have.
Yep, I think that works.
Yeah, so it's just it's a text box.
Yep.
Good.
Okay, and then up above though, the ones in my neighborhood, that still stays.
I
Yeah.
would say so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's just
Yes.
looking different from the hard copy, so I'm just trying to follow what you're doing.
So Chris, when someone would fill that out, what would happen is, you know, when we collect the hard copy, someone would put in the streets or the neighborhood and their other locations, and then I would include, or, you know, whoever is doing the data input would be putting those streets and locations in this box, number 17.
Okay.
And we just take note.
All right. All righty. All right, next question.
So
because our-
Ken, I appreciate, Ken, in number 16 that you put the logic in there, the 1 through 6. You can't rank 2 number 1s or
Correct.
2 number 2s. It forces you to choose, which I think it should.
And that's why I couldn't add, because it's locked in that specific question type. I couldn't add like the boxes that were similar to the hard copy, and I had to create another question to
Right.
the ability to list those.
Right, but it's a small thing, but I think it's important.
Yeah.
You can't rate them all number 1.
Just one tiny thing on 17. It should be a period and not a question mark.
Oh yeah,
That's a
it's a
big thing.
big thing. I got a frozen screen. Let's see. Okay.
Uh-oh.
No, got it.
Hope you're saving as you go.
It saves as I go.
All right, good. All right, so let's see now. You guys are on 17. On the hard copy, I'm on 16, which is the federal money for the bike path.
Yep, and so they would have the option of very important, somewhat important, not important,
Okay,
for each of those.
yeah. Anybody, any questions, problems there?
No.
Moving on. Infrastructure. We're almost done, guys.
Hey, can I just ask one question on the last thing?
Yeah.
This is just,
Yep.
So we're assuming that the only way those would happen is if federal money became available? Like why are we specifying that rather than just if?
I'm agreeing with Margaret that we shouldn't do that. We should just say, how important is it for the town? Because that gives us much more latitude, and if a lot of people say a bike path is important, later on in the survey, we've got this question about, would you agree to increase taxes?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, let's take out if the state or federal money became available. That's good. Yep. And part of the reason, Margaret, there's a bill before the Senate right now to try and allow for CPA funds to purchase part of the rail bank, the railroad
Okay.
area.
Right.
But
okay.
it's not passed the legislature yet. So I think that's what.
And
we
the
were
other
thinking
thing
of.
is, I'm looking for that, deep pocket resident that says, here's $3 million, you know?
Well, that too. Yeah.
I'd like to meet that deep pocket resident.
All right, that's good. That shortens up the question.
And
Yeah. All right, that's fine.
number 18, if you take that out, you're probably, either way, you're going to skew the results. If you leave it in or if you take it out, because if you say federal state monies become available, you're essentially selling it. And if you take it out, you're potentially underselling it. So.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we can win on this one, Jim.
Nope. There's no right or wrong here. It's just it is what it is. But that was
Okay.
one of my earlier, so let's move on.
Okay, next, infrastructure. Yeah, okay. And here we are, the 1 to 5s, and just a couple of small things. Suggestion on the first one was to take out capability, just develop our own public utility.
Yeah.
Just take out the word capability.
Okay. Oops.
Whoop. Hello. Lost ya.
Capability.
Yeah, it's just extra wording. And then the 5th one down, purchase strategic lands rather than strategically located lands, just strategic lands. Was an idea.
Yeah,
I
land
like that.
can't really be strategic, technically speaking, but you know, I could go with it. And purchases can be strategic. You know, strategic is associated with an action, not
Yeah,
a noun. But
true, yeah.
in that you know particular. But I'm okay with it. Again,
What
to be
about
clear.
purchase appropriate land?
Yeah, it's a
No.
little soft, I think.
Prioritized lands.
Mm.
Why do we need a modifier on lands?
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, yeah, just take it out altogether.
Purchase lands to preserve open space.
Right. Yep.
Because
Okay.
it should
Land,
land
singular.
singular. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about just purchase open space?
All right, purchase land to preserve open space, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. For me, anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Then we
I
have
think you need a
the,
space in there, though. Ken, do you?
I have a space, yeah.
Oh, okay.
think
All
I had
right.
to
Oh,
press
your
it.
cursor was there. Okay.
Those frogs, Margaret,
Oh, I'm
hearing.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I like the sound of it. I'm just asking if that's what it was.
Yep.
Tree
Okay,
frog.
so the next one is build or repurpose existing municipal building. We've got that, right? And then develop more recreational areas. So that's what we had. We have 7, I think, there.
That's correct.
Okay. Yep, I think everything's there. Any other infrastructure ideas that we want to add there, guys?
I'm sorry, folks. I want to go back to 18.
Okay, go for it.
So I think one of the problems with, I mean, this is good that we're really vetting this very closely, but I think one of the issues with looking at this so long and for such a long, you know, in such depth is that we're forgetting motives we originally had. So on number 18, as I read it now, it says, how important is it for the town to? I read that as the town's going to fund it. When reality is most towns fund these things through grants, federal and state grants.
Yeah.
That's the original reason why we had federal or state in there. So again, we're kind of going in circles, I feel.
Well, how about if we take out town? Just say, how important is it to, acquire, develop?
I was just wondering that too, Cindy.
Does that work, Jim? How important is it to?
It
Colon.
does. I think it works. Yeah. I mean, my personal opinion is it's still going to be, people are going to read that as, I'm not going to pay for that, but if it read federal state grants, I'm like, well, that's okay. So,
Yeah.
and most of those are, I mean, I don't know, but I think most bike paths and things like that get a lot of grant funding. Towns don't devote budget to that. I may be wrong.
I agree. I think you're right.
Mm-hmm. How about pursue grants
Funding.
and
Pursue
other
funding.
resources?
How important is it to pursue funding to? And then the options. And it could
Yeah,
be
actually,
grants.
that's even better because it says that we know we probably can't do it on our own. So
And it could be that multimillionaire that's going to donate it. Yeah.
Well, then you need to say grants funding, because pursue funding could be defined as, through raising property taxes.
Right.
Yeah.
So how
Alright,
important is it to pursue grant funding or other resources?
Well, do you need other
Two.
resources? How important is it to pursue grant funding?
Period. Or colon.
Okay.
Or you have to put 2, colon, or semicolon.
Okay.
Yep. Thank
Colon.
you.
Okay. Okay. How
I like
important
that.
is it to pursue grant funding too? Okay.
I think that was a good suggestion, Jim.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Very
Thank
good.
you. We got it. Alrighty. Then we're down to if any of the above require a bond issue, and just suggestion and or
Yeah.
and/or an increase. Not and an increase, but and/or an increase. And then maybe just say, what are your top priorities? Not what would be, what are, just make it simple.
Yep.
What are your top 3 priorities? And then is that okay to still list the letter of the strategy? Did that work out all right or not? How do
Ooh,
people list that? How do we?
I think that actually is missing.
Okay.
Let me see.
Because in the hard copy, we had them choose 3 and they were supposed to list, we had them numbered A, B, C, D, E, whatever, and we wanted people to choose 3 by putting the letter in there.
So what I can do is, let's see.
That's where things went a little screwy, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that somehow got erased, because that was another kind of weird.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so I
choose
think-
your top 3. I don't know how you do that. Or
So what I can do is, not ranking, it's the check boxes, and then list these options again. Oh, wait,
no.
no. I think this is what I did. Because what was the question, Chris? It was if any of the above required a bond issue and a proxy increase in property tax, what are your top 3 priorities, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then you can just choose the 3, and it will disqualify you.
Isn't there a rank order possibility for a question where, you can drag and drop them and put them in the order? Does your there has to be a question with the logic of a rank order.
I think this one is a good one for rank ordering.
Like drag and drop ranking.
And then yep. So let's see.
Let's see what it looks like.
So they would be able to choose the 3 that they liked, and it would put them in order.
Yes.
That's cool.
That's pretty sexy, Ken.
Yeah.
Really.
For
That's the most fun
9:25
question.
pretty exciting.
Right.
That's the most fun question all night.
But
So then what would happen is someone would put the letters that are on the physical survey, and then I would just make
Yeah.
sure that those are the ones. The way that they're listed, we could qualify that as your 1, 2.
but Chris, I think we're missing one. Remember we figured it out?
No, we're not actually. They were all there. There's 7 of them altogether.
I'm missing one here.
Oh, where?
Yeah, we're missing one because there's only 6.
I'm missing, wait, now I'm confused. Let's see.
No, we got develop. We've got pursue energy. We've got, buy land as safety complex. Invest in public sewer system. Purchase land.
Oh, I'm missing.
Rebuild.
purchase.
Oh, yeah. No, yes. build or
Building or
repurpose
repurpose.
existing
Yep.
municipal building for a multi-use meeting and community center.
Yeah.
Yep. So they were in the above question, but they didn't appear there. Yep, good catch, guys. Thanks.
So save question, and then I'm going to add this here, and then we changed something above. Capability we removed.
We
And
did.
and we also changed purchase land.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we have that one, and that was between purchase and develop.
Right, it was before develop more recreation. So build
Yep.
or repurpose existing municipals, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
Okay. Is that good? And does all of number 20 fit on one screen then when they see it?
Yeah, it will be on, yeah, I mean,
I
it
mean, number
depends on
20
the
is,
size.
it's not split on their screen. I mean, you don't,
It depends on the size of the screen, because it will, like on
Yeah.
my screen, I can, other than,
okay. No, I didn't know if the boxes could be wider so that the length, so that it wasn't quite as long as that, that's all. But that's fine, whatever works.
But it's just a screen.
Yep.
So, at the risk you're going to throw things at me, but should we add the items from 18 also in number 20,
Yep.
19, and 20? In other words, a bike path could be funded by a combination of grants and a local bond or something like that.
I'm with Jim. It's almost like you already said, how important is it to do the bike path or to
Yeah.
acquire land, and now we're asking for yet another ranking. It's almost like, why are we doing that?
Yeah.
So they're two different funding sources. One is all about, grants, and the other is about a bond and a tax increase. They're
Yeah.
very different.
Well, and the reality is a lot of things we do in town, we have those kind of splits anyway. We have some grant money, but we also end up having a bond issue in some cases, right?
Right. So, but I don't know, and this is where it gets sticky, and I'm ignorant. But do we get grants to preserve open space, for example,
Yes.
or
We
build
did.
a public safety complex? Versus, I do see grants for
Yes.
bike.
Yeah.
We definitely get grants for open space, and I don't know if we've ever pursued one for the safety complex. I don't know.
Oh God.
I know it's getting hard.
I can't remember, but I can't understand why there wouldn't be opportunities. I don't know if there are right now, but
Yeah.
it would make sense.
Yeah.
Especially
So-
after what we're going through.
So Jim, are you saying that we want to take the Greenway question, the bike path question, and also put it in this infrastructure question? Is that what I'm hearing?
Your microphone's off, Jim.
Yes, I would say that, but
Okay.
the risk of doing that is, do the questions in number 19 also deserve their own input as far as grant funded?
No. No, I wouldn't.
Would that make a difference to people? They either want it or they don't want it, and it's, regardless of the source.
My sense is it does make a difference, because frankly, it either hurts my pocket directly or it doesn't. I like this, but not if it's going to cost me money.
Well,
But that's why we've got the separate question, right?
Right.
So
I'm proposing that what's in number 18 could be additional and also in 19. But if you do that, are there any in 19 that should have their own separate, like, grant question, like the bike path does in 18? In other words, you're segregating these wish lists out fully.
yeah. Mhm.
I know, it's hard.
I mean, we had the bike path that's under mobility. So,
I don't know, Jim. I sort of liked it the way it was. I mean, the way we've got it.
Well, I did too, because it was easier. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing. Or,
I mean, I
this
suppose
it's really hard.
you could take out the bike path question from mobility altogether and put those in here under the infrastructure one. And then that would eliminate any issue about grant funding. But that's a tough one. Anybody else out there? Are you still with us? Oh boy.
We got to decide this. Yeah.
I kind of liked it the way it is, but I'm open.
And so the way it is not putting the bike path under infrastructure, right?
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's I guess, yeah. If we had it there, then they would have to rank that in terms of whether they would go for the tax increase or bond issue, right? If we have it in the infrastructure one.
I'm concerned that if we have too many choices, it's harder for people not only to, okay, scale of 1 to 7 and you're listing something or your top
Right.
3, and then I feel like it's going to be harder for us to identify what's really important to people.
Right.
Right, I agree. And I'm fine with the way it is, but I just want us all to be conscious that we're assigning values to both these sets of questions, 18 and 19, by how we're wording it and where we're placing them. That's all. And if that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing. But just to be transparent.
Yeah.
Well, so you consider those infrastructure, bike paths and greenways, you consider those infrastructure? Because that's what this is called, this section.
It really is infrastructure. It is. What I can't even remember. What is the heading of the previous section?
Mobility. And I think bike path was actually under the mobility chapter in the
Right.
plan.
And in essence it is, but I can see it fitting in both categories.
Uh-huh.
It depends on the intended use. Is it recreation? Is it really a form of transportation for people to get from one place, like to work, to another?
Here, I'm just going to throw out this just so we can kind of get out from under a dilemma. How about if we remove number 18 altogether and put it under, on a scale of 1 to 5, put it under 19. And so then we get a sense for how people rank those questions about the bike path.
That's a good idea.
Just delete 18 and put the land acquisition and the two types of.
Mhm.
But then not put it under 20?
No, we're not talking about the funding source here. We're just
Yeah,
talking
we're not
about
talking
people
about funding. We just
prioritize.
want to know what people really want.
People want.
So,
So-
in
I'm
addition,
fine with that, but again, we've gone full circle. So now the
Yeah.
whole reason we put the grant in there is because that's how they're usually funded. That's how. These are hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
But I'm good with that, Cindy. Let's just get a gauge for people's interest. It gets too complicated.
So
Yeah.
if you're putting it only in 19 and not in 20, I think that's just it, because
Well, I think you eliminate 18 and put it in 19 and 20.
Okay,
Oh, okay. So
All right.
both.
yeah, do that. That's good.
So then I'm concerned that then I feel like we need to allow more than 3 choices for 20.
Yeah, I do too.
All
I
right,
do
then
too.
do the top 5 ranking on 20.
Okay.
Good point, Margaret.
All right. So, Lordy.
Are you getting all that, Ken?
Well,
We're all going to remember this when we get critiqued understandably, that we'll be able to unfold this whole argument we had. We'll
Well,
just
this-
play the recording. They can watch for themselves, the pain.
Is this, this is recorded, right?
yes, it is. Thank
Okay,
goodness.
well,
Amen to that.
Everyone can hear my frogs.
Oh, good.
Beautiful.
So we're gonna bring down. So let's put the bike stuff before the last one to develop the land, the other recreational areas. Let's put it up in there somewhere. Yeah. So acquire land and complete the bike path. So we'll keep that same language, right?
yeah.
Okay. And then develop bicycle paths.
So you're moving.
Both of those from whatever, my numbering is not the same as yours anymore. So both of those, the acquire land and complete the bike path, and then develop bicycle paths and greenways that link open spaces and neighborhoods.
Did you have a preference as to where they belong in that list?
Just before, well,
Above the more recreational areas.
yeah, right before that, before the last
Oh,
one.
okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll do the top 5 rather than the top 3.
Right.
And you know what? Don't even put in more recreational areas. I think we thought about that in terms of the open space and recreation plan. And guess what? Am I right, Ken? That's going to be written by the end of this month, isn't it?
Yeah, mid-July. Probably more so mid-July.
All right, mid-July, but it's not going to, whatever comes in on this survey
Yeah,
at the end
It
of
will
August, isn't
be, the survey will be ready, the plan will already be done.
Yeah, okay, so develop more recreational areas out of what is looking like 19.
Okay. So
Excellent
then
point.
that gets us.
Yes.
So 8 things that we're gonna ask for the top 5, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, going once, going twice. Gone. All right, last one, land use. The only suggestion here was Cindy, you brought it up to get rid of, protect as much open space as possible from development, which is the next to the last one. You wanna give your rationale, Cindy?
Yes, actually for 2 reasons. One is if you read through all the options, we do talk about land preservation and conservation in one way or the other. And it's very small for me. I can't see it right now on the screen unless it can be enlarged. One of them has the option of continuing to educate landowners. And we've got this whole concept of cluster development. And we've got talking about zone areas for agriculture. That's one of the reasons. I think we've addressed it. And the second reason is I think that talk about leading people, protect as much open space as possible from development, I think is an unpalatable concept. I just think that it just is such strong wording there that I frankly am concerned that people will strongly disagree and strongly oppose. And I think there's other options above which are gentle, more gently stated. That's my reason for removing that. And I think I made that same appeal on a previous meeting, and I still feel that way. And I did discuss this with Diana Fetterman, who is also on the Open Space Committee, has a lot to do. She's written grants for us to acquire land, et cetera. So I know her feelings. We just think this is so strongly worded that we prefer to see this out.
I agree.
Is it the words from development that you feel is strongly worded?
I think it's as possible. I think protect as much open space as possible. It's like every little, square
Yeah.
3 yards, I just don't see the point of keeping it in there.
Well,
It is a strongly worded response, answer.
Mhm.
Can you say just protect open space? Or preserve open space or something like that that still captures the idea that we want to have some open space in our community?
Well, look at the one right above that though, Margaret. Continue to educate landowners about options for permanently protecting land and preserve in perpetuity a
Okay.
select group of open spaces.
Yep.
Okay. All right. No, that captures it. You're right. It does.
So I with that there, I think I would tend to agree with Cindy. I would be fine with getting rid of.
Right. Seems,
Everybody okay
I
with
agree.
that?
I agree with Cindy too.
Is Christina still on? What
I
is
think we lost her.
Okay.
I think she left. I'm sure
Okay.
she did. Yeah, I don't see her name up there.
Okay.
So
Well, and I know this is being taped. I just want to make sure people who really care about land preservation and conservation in our town know that we want to capture that feeling, but I believe that it's quite well stated in a couple of the other sections of the
yeah, well, I think we captured it in the previous question because we've also got hello, didn't we? Yeah, we also had purchase land to preserve open space.
Yep.
In the previous question, actually. So
Good,
I think we haven't ignored it.
good.
And
Okay.
it's almost as if you're hitting people over the head with it.
Yeah.
I think taking it out is the right thing to do.
Yep. And then the very last thing is my magical optional question of I live on what road, street, drive, circle drive, whatever. Yep. All right.
So it exists as its own. So after you finish the land use section, this would be the next page, and then submit. And then when you submit, then the thank you page comes up.
Okay.
Oh, let's see.
Yeah.
So then this would be the question. After you press submit, this would pop up, which
Nice.
basically records your data.
Okay.
Did you want the optional under land use?
No.
No, I want it to be a separate
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Because I mean, people may or may not answer it. I mean, we had mixed feelings about it, but.
Yep.
But it enables them to write in where, right? Yes. Okay.
Correct. So yeah, it's I live on what road,
Yeah.
street, circle, drive, and then you put in here.
Okay.
Good.
And last quickie question I have is that in the couple of things we've got, including the very beginning of this, we've called this the community engagement survey. Do we need to say that on here somewhere or not?
You mean like have a header and a footer?
Yeah,
kind of thing?
I'm just wondering, I'm seeing Ken's header here is the master plan implementation survey, which it is, so maybe that's just fine. We've got it in the bit of a narrative. We've called it the community engagement survey.
I think that's a good way, a positive way of putting it out there to people.
Okay.
Community
So just,
engagement.
well, but not necessarily as the header of the document, right? I mean, it's fine just like it is in the little paragraph. That's all we need to say, right?
Yeah, I think
Currency.
that's
Yeah. Right? I mean,
So-
otherwise it's, yeah.
so. Chris, you wanted to change this language in here, in the
No, I think it's fine. Community engagement survey there, but as I see your header, it's the Southampton master plan, whatever.
implementation survey.
Yeah. I think is that okay with everybody? We call it
Yes.
two separate
Yes.
things.
Rename
Okay.
it. Yeah.
What?
No, I'm agreeing with what you're proposing.
Right, to be consistent is what you're saying, Cindy,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I agree. Should be consistent.
So I'll change that. I don't want to affect anything here. So change the name of the survey to Southampton Community Engagement Survey. Is that correct? Is that what we're saying?
Works for me.
Works for me.
Okay.
And on the heading where you list the town of Southampton, take out town hall.
Okay.
because
Yeah.
that is the address of town hall.
Yeah, that's true.
Saves a line. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, very good. Okay, guys, I think we've done it. So now our challenge is to put it back together and compare both versions here. Ken, just briefly, what's your time frame in terms of when you can work on this? And maybe you and I can put our heads together just to compare versions at some point.
Yeah, so what I can do is the copy that I worked off of this and to change, there are these comments that I've highlighted that maybe between you and I, Chris, we can figure out how to wordsmith those.
Okay.
But I'll share this with you and the committee if they want to play
Yes.
around with this new. And then maybe Monday, if we want to just finalize where we are at that point and just provide additional comments.
All right.
I'm unable to meet on, Monday. If there needs to be a meeting with the board or the committee, I'm unable to meet on Monday, but.
Okay. All right. Does anybody feel the need to have a meeting? Would you like to just have Ken give us the survey again? Do you want to try and practice it one more time, or what's anybody's feeling?
I'd like to go through it one time,
Okay.
but I don't feel the need for a meeting.
Yep. Okay. I'm good with that.
What you said. Repeat what you said.
Oh, sure. I said that I would like to go through it one more time with, our corrections and just make sure that, everything works, but I don't feel the need to have a meeting about it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right, so just another opportunity to complete the survey, essentially, is what you're proposing.
Right. So let's see if we can get it done for, maybe on Monday, Ken, and then if people could complete it again by, say, Tuesday night, is that possible? Or
I mean, I can, since I've made the edits within the document, clean. The only thing that needs to be cleaned up are these highlighted sections.
Yeah. Okay.
So if anything,
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
I mean, between you and I, Chris, if we want to just figure out what those say, we can.
Okay.
I can have this done by tomorrow, and you can take the weekend to do it.
Okay. That'd be great. All right. Well, we'll reconnoiter tomorrow. You and I. How's that?
Okay.
Somewhere.
That sounds good.
All right. Sounds good. All right, guys. I think we're good at the moment. Is anybody got anything else to add to this? This was quite a challenge, but I think it was necessary to get it done. So thank you so much for sticking in here.
Do we want to schedule, at least schedule for another meeting, whether we cancel it or I think we should at least schedule something.
Yeah, probably. We'll go back on our Monday schedule here. Let's see.
How about Monday, the 13th of July?
That's okay with me. School committee's the week before that, so the 13th would be okay.
13th? Okay, let's do that for now. And then I think once we get this launched, if we actually really get this out here on Friday, the 26th, like I say, there's not really lots to meet about or do. We need to maybe just, could email me if there's some issue that somebody's seeing or, people have questions maybe, but I don't think we would have a real need for a meeting anytime soon.
Except for about the logistics of getting these hard copies out.
Yeah, the next real big thing that needs some brainstorming on here, and I got to figure this out is what we do for the Dropbox type thing to pick them up at town hall and to deliver them to town hall. That's our only real stumbling block that I'm seeing right at the moment. And then Ken, once we've got the survey, you're going to give us the link and the QR code, and we'll put the QR code on the poster. And the link will be on the town hall thingy. So we've got still a little bit of individual stuff. So, Francine to tinker a little bit with whatever's going to go in Robert's newsletter, and then Christina and Cindy to talk about wording on the marquees. So we've got work that in pairs or, little mini groups we can be doing this week to get it out. And if anybody has any questions, just holler. I think with that, I'm gonna not have us have any real new business. Shall we entertain a motion to call it quits for tonight? All right,
I move we adjourn.
all right.
I'll
I
second.
think we'll just call it adjourned, and it's oddly enough, it's 9:52 by my watch, so gosh, guys, sorry, but thank you. I don't think we had too much choice on this one. So thanks
Okay.
for hanging in there and getting it done. I think it was a good exercise, and I think we've got a pretty good product, actually.
Yeah,
I do
thank
too.
you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone. Thanks for your hard work. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
So
everyone.
Cindy, before, don't sign off yet. Keep that recording going, or you can shut the recording now. But it's